Welcome to Oddly Real. I'm Nem Stefanovic. We are all familiar with the action of rotation. We can take an object and turn it around until it's back to its starting position. This is a 360-degree turn, and all three-dimensional objects, when rotated like this, appear to be restored back to their original state. Strangely, this isn't exactly true. Simple demonstrations can show that the state of an object is not fully restored after a 360-degree turn. Instead, it requires a 720-degree turn, or 2 full turns, to truly return to the starting state. Interestingly, this phenomenon is integral to subatomic particles in the quantum realm, and it has significant implications to the organization of the entire universe. There are some particles like photons that do not exhibit this paradoxical rotational effect. There are other particles like protons, neutrons, and electrons, which make up our ordinary matter, that are directly impacted by this rotational physics. Incredibly, this isn't just a quirk of nature. The fact that ordinary matter possesses this strange rotational asymmetry is responsible for the diversity in chemistry throughout the universe. It is also the reason why matter occupies space and possesses its solidity. We explore how spin, rotation, and particle exchanges are a core feature of the quantum realm and their implications for the structure and behavior of matter in our universe. We begin with an odd experiment. Take an object and attach strings to it. Now give it one full 360-degree turn. The strings twist around. Is it possible to unravel those strings? In this test, we are allowed to move the strings, including around the object itself, as long as they stay attached at their ends. The only limitation is we're not allowed to rotate the object. Try as we might, there's actually no way to fully unravel the strings. They remain twisted in some way. Next, let's reset the experiment. However, this time, let's rotate the object twice with 2 full turns, all in the same direction. This would seemingly make things worse, twisting the strings even more. Now, once again, let's attempt to unravel the strings around the object. Strangely, the strings can now be unraveled. This same type of test can be conducted in any number of different ways. For example, there's a version of this called the belt trick. Take a belt, turn the buckle around one full rotation. You won't be able to maneuver the belt around the buckle to untwist it. Yet, redo the experiment, but this time turn the buckle around twice. Now, astonishingly, the belt can be untwisted. Somehow there's a difference between turning an object around one full rotation versus turning it around in 2 full rotations. One turn puts the object in a different state than 2 full turns. It is only after 2 full turns that an object can be completely restored to its starting position, its original state. In the quantum realm, there are particles that possess an intrinsic internal spin. This is part of their identity, like having a charge or possessing a mass. One such particle with this property is the electron. Normally, in our everyday world, we'd expect that a spin, or angular momentum of an object, can have any value without restrictions. However, this is not the case in quantum mechanics. Like many other things, angular momentum is quantized, meaning it can only take on certain specific values. For the electron, there are 2 possible values, +1/2 or -1/2 multiples of h divided by 2 pi. H is just Planck's constant. Simply speaking, we just say +1/2 spin or -1/2 spin, or just spin up or spin down, respectively. The particle spin also has an orientation along an axis in 3-dimensional space. This can be measured. Electrons possess charge, and their inherent spin produces a magnetic field around them. Thus, if they are made to pass through an external magnetic field, they can be deflected, and their path indicates their spin orientation in a chosen dimension. Additionally, we can use a magnetic field to purposely reorient an electron by turning it. Yet something strange happens after one full rotation of an electron. According to calculations in quantum mechanics, the orientation of the electron correctly returns to its initial orientation after a 360-degree turn as expected. However, there's an odd negative sign that appears in the amplitude of the electron state. This strange mathematical quirk doesn't impact an observable property of the electron, since when calculating any quantum probabilities, we take the absolute value of any amplitude, ensuring it's always positive. Yet the negative is there. If the electron is rotated another full 360 degrees, the negative naturally goes away upon completion of the second full rotation. The particle state is now exactly the same as it started. There's another strangeness in the quantum realm that we do not encounter in our everyday macro level world. For us, no two objects are exactly alike. 2 grains of sand under a microscope will show distinct features that allow you to tell them apart. Take 2 chairs from a dining room table set. Although the chairs superficially seem alike, one might have a small scratch on a leg, while the other has a slight imperfection on a joint. Even 2 people, like identical twins, may share the same sequence of genetic code, but their bodies will show some differences as a result of their development or environmental exposures. Even their fingerprints are different. Every object in our macro world is made of trillions upon trillions of atoms, and their arrangements have so many possible permutations that the chance of encountering 2 absolutely identical objects is essentially 0. However, this is not the case at the subatomic level. Individual particles like electrons, photons, and other subatomic particles fundamentally are exactly alike. An electron can differ from another in its position and spin, but properties like its mass and charge are the same as other electrons. They have no distinguishing features to tell them apart on their own. This turns out to be of utmost importance in quantum mechanics and the way our universe behaves. To understand the significance of identical particles in the quantum realm, we can classify particles into 2 categories: bosons and fermions. Certain particles, like photons, have integer values for their spin, like 0, 1, or 2. These are called bosons. There is another class of particles, like electrons, protons, and neutrons, which exhibit 1/2 multiples of spin, like 1/2, 3/2, and so on. These are called fermions. There's a very distinct behavior between bosons and fermions that links back to our observations about full rotations in space. We can compare 2 identical particles, like 2 bosons, that can be in specific sets of quantum states. A quantum state can just be thought of as a description or a status of the quantum particle or system of particles. For example, a spin up or spin down orientation of a particle can be thought of as 2 different quantum states. If 2 or more such identical particles occupy a given set of quantum states, then it turns out that bosons have a higher chance of occupying the same state together than if the particles were distinguishable. Identical boson particles tend to behave similarly to each other with a higher probability than if they were distinct particles. Why does this happen? Well, fundamentally, bosons don't notice any difference if you take 2 identical bosons and exchange them with each other. This action is exactly the same as if you leave the particles undisturbed. Their states are indistinguishable from each other. Interestingly, there's a link between this particle exchange action and conducting a rotation that is not obvious. Imagine a belt is connected from one particle to the other. Now exchange the positions of the 2 particles. The belt will now have twists in it. The act of exchanging 2 particles is equivalent to a 360-degree rotation. However, as mentioned, bosons do not experience this twist in an exchange. Fermions are 1/2 spin particles with values like 1/2, 3/2, and so on. Fermions include electrons, protons, and neutrons. Two or more such identical particles can be in a system that can take on certain quantum states, like spin orientations or paths through a double slit, for example. However, unlike bosons, which have higher probabilities to possess the same quantum states together, fermions oppose having the same quantum states in the same system. In fact, two identical fermions having the exact same quantum state are forbidden. This behavior is called the Pauli exclusion principle. Why do fermions behave this way? What's different as compared to bosons? Well, fermion quantum states become different when two identical particles are exchanged between themselves. Recall that this exchange action is equivalent to a rotation operation. Fermions end up in a new state with a negative amplitude. If two fermions were allowed to occupy the same state, then the exchange operation would result in an unchanged state, like a boson, which is not possible. Let's take a look at an example to see how the Pauli exclusion principle influences our reality. Imagine an atom that has lots of electrons. The electrons in an atom are only allowed to occupy distinct energy levels. They can't take on any arbitrary energy value. Quantum mechanics requires that the energy levels are quantized. However, we also know that electrons in the same system within an atom cannot be in the same quantum state as another electron because of the Pauli exclusion principle. Specifically, two identical electrons can't occupy the same energy level. Instead, two electrons are able to occupy one energy level if one electron has an upspin while the other electron has a downspin, thereby keeping their quantum states separate and distinct. The energy levels of an atom are filled up from the lowest energy levels upward to the higher energy levels. Each subsequent energy level requires more energy for pairs of electrons to be able to occupy it. In chemistry, it's the outer electrons, the ones at the upper energy levels, that play a role in chemical reactions, either to accept, donate, or share electrons between reacting atoms. The Pauli exclusion principle is the reason that electrons have to occupy these distinct sets of energy levels. Atoms of different elements have different numbers of electrons occupying different energy levels, which provides a unique chemistry for how atoms interact with each other. If electrons followed the rules of bosons, there would be no issue with two or more electrons occupying the same energy levels, and in fact, they would be preferred. This would result in atoms having electrons in their lowest energy levels, with all atoms possessing a similar kind of chemistry, providing far less variety of atomic interactions and less diversity in matter. Surprisingly, the Pauli exclusion principle is also the reason why matter has its solidity. Atoms are mostly empty space, with the nucleus having a diameter that's 100,000 times smaller than the boundaries of the atom. The atoms are surrounded by electrons that possess negative electrical charge. These charges can repel atoms, but in fact, this is not the reason for matter being solid to the touch. For matter to compress to occupy smaller amounts of space, the electrons between two atoms would have to occupy unique quantum states as per the Pauli exclusion principle. Since the low energy states are already occupied for the atoms, bringing electrons closer would require them to occupy higher energy levels. It requires much more energy to get electrons into these states, something that is extraordinarily difficult by trying to compress solid matter together. Bosons are responsible for their own set of observable behaviors. For example, lasers are sets of photons with the same energies traveling together. This situation is possible because bosons are statistically more likely to group together to maintain the same quantum state. This kind of behavior also plays a role in superconductors and superfluids. It's incredible to think that one revolution in space could put a particle in a different state than when it started. It's even more incredible to think that this phenomenon has implications for the structure of atoms, all the complex chemistry of the universe, and even the solidity of matter. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and remember, oddly real, really interesting.